Hello and welcome to this week's edition of World in Focus. I'm your host Amrit Haq. On 3rd June 2010, Pakistan's President Asif Ali Zardari signed off on 2 international conventions. This adds Pakistan to a list of countries, a very short list of countries that has ratified almost all international conventions. The 2 present conventions focus, one on political and civil rights and the second on humane treatment of citizens of a country. In today's program, we will take a look at the 2 conventions and what the ratification means for Pakistan. Joining us today are Mumtaz Alam Gilani, Federal Minister for Human Rights, Ms. Tahira Abdullah, she's a human rights activist, and Qaiser Siddiqui, he's Director of SHARP. Welcome to the program. Mumtaz, I'll start with you. Why now? Why did you feel that this was the right time to sign off on these 2 conventions or protocols?
The right time, when it came to our notice, that was the right time. And for April, we have almost agreed that we will go for it. And then different discussions in different committees. I see that we are still late by a few months. I'm talking of my government. But still, this is the right time because the question of the human rights and its connection with the international relations, relations between the states, trade, everything, that depends upon the quality of the human rights. And we were supposed to sign it long before, when we have been the original member of the human rights signatory, when we are in the council twice. I think this is our 2nd term. So it was our obligation to sign it. But to our bad luck, here some more priorities were at the agenda of the different governments, and this was the most important agenda for the present government led by Pakistan People's Party. Still, since our leadership, our founder, presidents, chairmen, and Mohtarama Shahid, they were connected, they were very much interested in the human rights question. So, we are proud of it, that we have signed it, we have ratified it, and very soon it will be ratified further by the UNO Council, and then in Pakistan we will feel a new era. New era where good governance, where civil liberties, where the question of the people's right, they will be implemented through the courts.
Tahira Sahiba, before we continue, what exactly do these protocols include? What do they mean basically?
You've asked a huge question.
Briefly,
I wasn't going to start that way. I will answer your question, but I'd like to start off by commending the government, because after a lot of dilly-dallying and after a lot of hesitation, one should not talk about negative things when the occasion is a happy one. But I will take leave to remind you that General Pervez Musharraf convened a conference by the grandiose title of the International Conference on Human Rights and Human Dignity in April of 2000, just barely 6 months after he had staged his coup d'etat and toppled an elected democratic government. It was PMLN at that time. And he bragged and boasted about how he was going to bring human rights and human dignity to Pakistan. April 2000, and he was booted out in 2009 or 2008, towards the end of 2008, and we have had nothing at all. No signatures, no ratification, no nothing, no optional protocols, nothing at all. No changes in domestic laws, no constitutional amendments, absolutely nothing. And we didn't really want it, because we don't want these things to come from a military dictator. We'd rather have an elected government doing it. So I would like to begin by commending the present government, and I would like to remind the Minister that these are not the first conventions that the Pakistan People's Party has ratified. There was the CRC, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, in 1990, Mohtarama Shahid's first tenure, and there was CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women, which was ratified in early 1996, shortly after the Beijing Conference, the 4th World Conference on Women in Beijing, which was in 1995. However, and here comes the but. Here comes the but. There's always a fly in the ointment, and the Minister will not take exception to my to my, the minister will not take exception when I bring to your notice the fact that Pakistan is a state party with reservations. Pakistan has ratified almost all international covenants, treaties and conventions with reservations. Now, a lot of states have done that, so the rejoinder the rejoinder could come from the government side. That lots of other, Bangladesh has done it, India has done it, you know, Egypt has done it, Turkey's done it. So why are you making, Iran has done it? Why are you making a fuss about Pakistan? Let me tell you why I'm making a fuss about Pakistan. Other countries, and let me talk about Bangladesh, for instance. When they reserve on certain conventions and international treaties, do so on specific articles and specific clauses of specific articles, which means
not the overall.
We don't. Yes, I don't like the clause on inheritance, for example. So I will reserve on the clause pertaining to inheritance in the article pertaining to the rights of women. Let me give you an example. But when Pakistan, as a state party, makes a general declaration, which is a blanket umbrella declaration, to the effect that despite the fact that the state has ratified this instrument, nothing in it shall be binding upon the state, which goes against or is contrary to the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Now that was said, for example, in March of 1996, when we had all of General Ziaul Haq's amendments to the mutilation of the Constitution by General Ziaul Haq between 1977 to 1988 was still extant in the Constitution when this reservation came, which was a general declaration. It is such a vague and huge umbrella declaration.
You're creating a loophole for yourself.
So then what we have to do is we start questioning the intention of the present government, not the state. The state ratifies, the government has to implement. The government is the executing, implementing body. They have to do a few things. They have to see whether the instruments that they have signed on, in this case the torture and the civil and political rights instrument conventions,